Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Transformers Reviews. Today, guys, as you can see, we are taking a look at not just one, but indeed two toy-accurate recolors of some pretty awesome Kingdom molds. Now, we have looked in depth at both of these molds, so I don't feel there's a need to go in depth over them again. Mainly what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing you how they stack up to their previous releases and to see how well they have fared against those boys. So, starting off with Terrorsaur. So it is a little bit amusing that not so long ago we did take a look at the one on the right, and before that we did take a look at his standard Kingdom release. So now to actually be coming full circle is a little bit interesting because I feel that the only thing that they really took inspiration from was the green pattern that you see on the original. Plus, to make it accurate, they actually just kept the beak all red to mimic this figure. It is a little weird just to see a really just red bird with a beak that is not differentiated from his body. Now, one thing that you'll see probably as we spin it around is that the Kingdom Terrorsaur actually has a little bit of a darker red as opposed to the toy accurate guy over here. You know, I'm just like, well, I like the Kingdom one a little bit better as opposed to the toy accurate one, just because it doesn't feel that difference, and I like his more accurate portrayal of his beast form. Now, while I do not have the original Beast Wars Dinobot mold anymore, I do have Grimlock and the actual Kingdom release of Dinobot to actually look at, and I have to say that, yeah, I'm not a fan of the kind of pinkish color that they applied for his Dinobot mode. Now, one thing that I do actually really kind of enjoy is you can see the eye is a little bit more reptilian and it's got a little bit of that yellow color as opposed to the more realistic eyes on Dinobot and Grimlock. Now, one thing that I do want to go ahead and bring out is, as you will notice, they did paint the claws white for his beast mode, whereas these boys don't have that. It's weird. It looks good in one mode, but in the other I'm just like, that's a little bit strange. So guys, before we head to robot mode, one thing that I do have to bring up is it only the Predacons or former Predacons that have the toy accurate repaints? Because I haven't seen one for Optimus Primal, Rhinox. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird, is that it's baddies or former baddies, but it was just kind of something that I did notice. Since we started with Terrorsaur last time, let's go ahead and, to be fair, we'll start off looking at Dinobot. And one thing that I am digging is the yellow eyes. Now, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but actually the paint in his right eye is actually a little bit damaged near the bottom. But that aside, I do actually dig the gold rib detailing. That's kind of cool. Another thing that my original mold that I did have of Dinobot before I got rid of it is the interior of the rotor blade was red, which that is show accurate. This head sculpt, even though it was originally designed for the Kingdom Grimlock, again, this does homage his more toy accurate head, and I gotta say that the blue face looks really good, especially when you compare him to his more show accurate CG design. So it is a little funny that the blue face did at least carry over to the CG model. And what a glow up our little pterodactyl friend has here. And now to see the little bit of homages and things like the solid colored gun, that's kind of amusing in a weird sort of way. I think this may be a little bit more dynamic than the Kingdom figure. And this is basically what I mean, is by them applying the toy accurate details, I feel that it makes his robot mode pop a little bit more. Whereas we saw earlier, his beast mode is the more dominant one that has a little bit more detail. The one thing that is interesting about it is he does rock green eyes as opposed to his standard yellow, and I do like how his helmet does pop a little bit more. And I'm really kind of torn because, like I said, I love him in beast mode, and this is almost CGI accurate, but this guy is a little bit more visually appealing, to be honest. Now guys, I think we all know that Hasbro has been doing these toy accurate recolors to bank on nostalgia. However, that's not why I'm doing it. I understand that this is not everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally fair. But for me, it's more of an intrigue, especially considering that I didn't get versions of their original molds until like years after the show was over. So again, for me, it's just kind of looking into what they're doing with these molds. Now I owe you guys a giant thank you because you guys have been blowing up the Twin Twist video, and we've got more Wrecker stuff coming. Matter of fact, in today's mail, I received another part of the hammer, which you can probably guess what that means. However, before we jump into the remold of Impactor and his little fossilizer friend, if you did notice during the group shot of the recolored Predacons, you might have noticed a certain feller that comes from a certain 4-pack. And he'll be coming eventually with his 3 compadres. However, before that, I think we have to make sure that every cog is in his place, if you know what I mean. So until then, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the Toyaka recolors of Maximal Dinobot and Predacon Terrorsaur. And until next time, guys, we'll see you in another review.
What?